I appreciate you for opening up, for being honest. This is a very personal thing that we all go through. Imposter syndrome could take a back seat, but it's normal. We all go through it. And the more we could recognize it and realize that it's just a part of normal growth, it's just part of normal growth spurts. It's part of getting us aligned with our true values. And it's okay. And saying, you know what? It's fine. Hey, I'm Jade Elysan, a multi-passionate creative based out of New York City who's obsessed with personal development and anything business, from marketing, branding, creating online programs to launches, and helping you step into your true self so that you can share your gifts with the world. Gain insights with manifesting, creating life on purpose, and get ready to elevate yourself in ways that will surprise even you. Included in your weekly dose of inspiration, get ready to be entertained, uplifted, and encouraged to take action with simple and easy to apply tips, tools, and strategies that fit into your busy daily life, sprinkled with some woo-woo along the way. From embracing your confidence to mastering success habits, setting achievable goals, and ways to harness positive mindsets and beliefs so that you can kick self-doubt and your inner critic to the curb where they belong. Whatever's on the topic call sheet, I'll help you navigate the raw, messy, and sometimes hilarious truths of achieving success, abundance, and happiness, all while encouraging you to become the best version of yourself. So think of me as your go-to girlfriend, talking over some coffee, getting real, and giving you some amazing advice to go from hot mess to thriving success. This is the Uber Savvy Life Biz podcast. Hey, welcome back to the Uber Savvy Life Biz podcast, where together we'll unlock your true potential to design the life and business of your dreams. I'm your host, Jade Elysan, and today is a very special Q&A, and I'm going to give a big shout out to a girlfriend at a local business that I frequent, and I'm going to call her Rachel, just to give her some anonymity. And she actually said to me the last time I was in her place of business, she said, Jade, I feel like I can't step out of my comfort zone. I have all these great ideas, but I feel lost, and it feels like I have imposter syndrome or something, especially because I want to coach others and I have a training certification on eating disorders, and I ultimately want to focus on body positivity and accepting who we are. But I feel like I don't know where to start or even if I should get started at all. Girl, I appreciate you for being 100% honest with me and being open to what you're going through. First of all, that's the number one step when it comes to opening up about something that you want to share with others. And just to let you know, imposter syndrome is completely normal. We all go through it. I have it literally every time I go to figure out ways to edit my episodes, and I'll get into that in a little bit with starting to work with a freelance editor. But before we jump into today's episode, if you would like weekly inspiration and would like to stay updated when I release new episodes, check out jadeellison.com and sign up for the VIP Insider List, where you'll get access to your empowered morning mindset checklist, an awesome free download that you'll get just for signing up, which will give you your ultimate caffeine-free boost to supercharge your mornings for success. So, Rachel, before jumping into this episode, I have a little story I'd like to share with you. And for those of you who are tuning in, who might be even new to me, I've spent over 13 years pursuing a dream of mine in New York City in terms of becoming an actress. And by now, I honestly thought I would have my own show. But our industry, the entertainment industry, is very intricate. And who knows if there's like nepotism or if it's just luck of the draw or if it's who you know. But I always knew that I wanted to entertain and uplift others. And that's why I was always so drawn to comedy. Though I'm really, really loving this new path of becoming a podcast host and stepping into my true self so that I could inspire, uplift, and encourage you to go for your big dreams and goals in life. And the reason I share that I have imposter syndrome when I create some of these episodes and the post production and editing, and actually even before jumping onto this today, I'm going through something personally. And my older boy cat is about to take his transition. What's interesting is when my hubby and I had to say goodbye to our little Lacey, which was actually part of the first episode and a lot of the inspiration about why I even started the podcast in the first place. So if you didn't listen to the first episode, definitely go back and check that out. We just didn't think we were going to have to say goodbye to Marley. 3 months after my little Lacey made her transition, my Boston Terrier Lacey, who was 15. And I realized that he must really miss her. I have Cooper, who's our 4-year-old Boston Terrier. We have Marley, and we have his sister Hannah. And I had imposter syndrome before coming on to film this episode for you because I thought, gosh, I really want my energy to be high vibe. I want you to feel that higher resonance of my energy. And that's always my intention when I create these episodes. I also know that I have to step up and show up regardless of my mood and what's going on in life. And I've had several mentors specifically say, like, shizzle's going to hit the fan and you have to step up and do what it is that you want to do to continue to be consistent and show up for yourself. So, Rachel, I understand that you have this feeling of imposter syndrome. And as I mentioned, it's completely normal. And I'm going to get into just a few reasons where it comes from, why we have it, and 3 ways to crush imposter syndrome in this episode for you. So, just in addition to soothing my energy before jumping onto these podcasts and before even showing up to any type of creative work or on set or when I'm doing my coaching with my clients, I always do my meditations in the morning. That's something that I will share in every episode as much as possible. It's so important to align with your true self. So, if you're feeling imposter syndrome, you might also just need to realign with who you are and have a daily practice. So, I have my meditation practice in the morning. I have my affirmations that I read from the different books that I pick up next to where I do my meditation practice. I pick up a page from the Master Key System just to focus on like what my positive thought will be that day. I speak about the Master Key System by Charles F. Hannell. He is like the original OG of law of attraction and positive mindsets. He actually came out before, I believe, Think and Grow Rich, which is a very popular book by Napoleon Hill. And then I pick up a fun book called Zen as F. It's literally called Zen as F with an asterisk CK. And that's by Monica Sweeney. And she's hilarious. And it's all these animated photos. And I've shared this in another episode where I just pick it up and see what I'm going to do that day to kind of like loosen up my energy so that no matter what I do, I could show up and be secure in the moment for that portion of my day, if that makes any sense. And she has this one practice called F yeah salutations, which is like these yoga salutations where you move through and do these yoga poses, and you're just like, F yeah, day. I'm going to have an effing awesome day. So I'm sharing that because also as an actor, you know, I have to be aligned and show up and sometimes learn 10, 15, 20 pages to be completely off book and memorize for a day of filming or multiple days of filming. And a lot of the actors that you see who have the series reg roles on shows or the lead roles on movies, they all have to do that. It's just like dropping into the most natural state of presence so that when the camera goes on and the director says action, it's like there's no recognition between ourself and the character. It's as if that oneness comes together. And it's also because of those practices prior to getting on screen, which I could say I'm 99% sure that every actor that you see who is on the TV or doing those lead roles in big movies that you like, they all have ways to align with themselves. So and that's what the purpose of this episode is. But what happens is, and I've done this too, is when we just have to show up for a place of business or a job that isn't necessarily our own, we have kind of like less responsibility and our mind could start to wander, if that makes any sense. Like we go, we do the task, and we leave. And it's interesting because what a lot of you may or may not realize is some productions for the entertainment industry film anywhere from 6 months to a year to 2 years in advance. So, right now, as I'm filming this, the writers have been on strike for several months. Actors have gone on strike in the SAG theatrical TV part of the union. And it's going to be really interesting to see what happens in the next 6 months to a year. There's probably going to be a lot of, in my prediction, I guess, like foreign films that come in, a lot of foreign TV shows that you might start to see, which aren't necessarily under the SAG jurisdiction or the union jurisdiction here in the US. And I'm sure there are going to be great productions and everything, but there's always going to be that external circumstance outside of ourselves that we can't control. And the reason I share that is because there's a lot of dynamics when it comes to that part of the entertainment business. It's not like always so fluffy, like, oh, you're an actor. It's so easy. There's a lot that goes into the entertainment business. There's like hundreds of thousands of jobs that are at stake right now, And the reason I'm bringing up the acting in terms of like imposter syndrome is because when it comes to doing my podcast, for instance, I knew that it would be a commitment, just like how there's post production for the entertainment industry. There's post production for the podcast. And I've shared that with you several times on a few episodes where the editing part, I'm still trying to align with and understand. I've taken trainings, I've looked at different websites, and I just come to a place where I threw my hands in the air and I said, you know what? I'm going to have to hire a freelance editor. So I started working with a freelance editor, and I'm aligning my content rhythm with this person so that we could be on the same page. And just to put myself out there, if you're a production and you think, Jade, we would love to invest in your show and help produce an even more incredible podcast, please check out the show notes below so you can find out how to get in contact with me so we can talk about that. But before I digress too much, there's really three main reasons anyone has imposter syndrome. And the first one is because we're afraid to take that first step because we think, who might listen to us with this thing that I'm so passionate about, or with this thing that I have so much knowledge about? Or who am I to venture into this new thing where I have no experience? Or the second reason is because we might have taken that first step. Like for myself, like I chose to do the podcast. I did make that choice and that commitment, but I'm still trying to figure it out along the way. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, like what did I get myself into? But I have to commit, I have to stay consistent. And the third reason that we might have imposter syndrome, it's kind of like a spin-off on the second one that I just shared, but it's taking that first step and then still trying to figure out things along the way and like having to figure out how to apply all these practices while we're sharing it with others. So, the reason I shared about my affirmations and my meditation is because I always want to come to my recordings in the most high vibe way. But like I said, my boy cat is on his last few days. I don't know what's going to happen with him. I wasn't sure if I was going to film today, but my mentors have instilled in me, show up no matter what your mood is, just be your best and just be honest. And that's why I'm here, because I am personally going through my own feelings of imposter syndrome too. So, Rachel, you're not alone. But the good news is that there are three ways to crush imposter syndrome to boost your inner confidence, courage, and strength within yourself so that no matter what, you could adjust, you could accept those emotions that you're feeling, those thoughts that you're feeling, and readjust those and continue forward every step along the way. Because that's what we all want to do. We all want to have that courage, that strength, and that confidence and that power within us to move forward, even when the shizzle hits the fan. And it's like a daily. My amazing neighbor, I'm going to call her M. She is awesome. I was telling her the other day as we were walking our pups, she said, "What's wrong?" And I said, I'm just having like, the shizzle hit the fan. And she goes, "Jade, the shizzle hits the fan every day." We didn't use those exact words. We used the more adult words, but I said, can't we just have 24 hours where everything goes well? And she said, "Are you joking? I'd like 2 hours where everything goes well." And I just love her so much. And I'm so thankful for my neighbors, especially M and R. I'm just naming their their first initials. But Rachel, like for you, I just want you to know, especially when it comes to just stepping into your true self, there's going to be those moments and those obstacles that feel like they're blocking you, like things could all line up. And then things could feel like, what in the world am I doing? And there's going to be times where you're going to want to keep showing up because you're going to have somebody like your friend Jade who says, you know what, you can do this. You can show up. Just how I shared with my friends at the gym that I was doing the podcast, and then his awesome daughter shared with her girlfriend, check out this podcast. And now her girlfriend's listening to my podcast. And I know that you're listening to my podcast. So thank you so much for tuning in. And it's because of you and because of my other friends who are sharing with their friends that I'm showing up. And it's because of you, the listener who's listening right now, that I'm showing up. because I started this thing and I will continue to show up for as long as it's bringing you value, for as long as it's encouraging you and inspiring you and motivating you to step out of your comfort zone. So let's jump in before I digress too much. Imposter syndrome is basically that really annoying, pervasive feeling that convinces us that we might be inadequate, or despite our obvious achievements and capabilities, that we have these perceived shortcomings that either we give to ourselves from self doubt, or that we pick up from watching others who might feel doubtful, or I said inadequate, but who might just feel like unsure about starting to move forward for themselves. So basically, there's three things that lead to imposter syndrome. It's the comparison trap, where we compare ourselves to others. They might be way ahead of us, or they might be doing something in a way that we would like to do. In terms of coaching, you want to coach Rachel in terms of eating disorders and body positivity. And can I tell you how many people need that? Oh my goodness. You go to any place of any fitness class or any gym, so many people would benefit from the knowledge that you have, because especially you have your certification, you went through your training in it. And even if you're working through it yourself right now and you're aligning with different healthy choices for food, it doesn't mean that you have to wait to be this like primed, I eat healthy kale salad, drink green juice every single day, and never fall off my health regime. No, you start where you are and you could just share with others what's working for you. And that is how you just take that little baby step to step out of your comfort zone. The second thing that could lead to imposter syndrome, and I've had this, is that fear of exposure, meaning like you put yourself out there and then they find out, oh, you really don't have this huge production or this huge setup helping support your podcast. No, I don't. I did have an incredible team who helped me get my first episode up and out. I went through training. I figured out how I could do my own editing. I got my incredible professional software that I record on for you. I did all the things that I could do with my equipment, but I'm still figuring things out every day. And the reason I'm being open about my like feelings of being found out that I don't have it all figured out is because speaking your truth and being authentic is one of the main things that I like to impart in this podcast. Being my raw, messy self. And that is literally what I show up to share with you, because it's not about being perfect. It's about just accepting our quirks and our uniqueness and the things that aren't working for us so that we can focus on the things that are working for us. And that's the third thing that leads to imposter syndrome, is setting these unrealistic high goals of perfectionism, which I do every single week when I come up with my goals to see what I'm going to achieve for that week. But let's jump in, because I feel like I gave a lot to you for what I go through with imposter syndrome, for where it comes from, why we even have it. So let's jump into the three ways to crush imposter syndrome. And the first way to crush imposter syndrome is a really cool game that I like to do. It's called the thought flip game. And this is all the inner work that we have to truly be conscious of. And it's tricky, but it could be done. And the best way to know when your thoughts flip is feeling that emotional set point, kind of like in your solar plexus, your heart area. You'll feel like a tightness or an openness. So when that area of your body starts to kind of close up and feel tight, or you feel like that anxious feeling, that's when you can really put to use this thought flip game. You could make a game to be like, "Ooh, I'm going to catch those imposter thoughts in the act, those little sneaky buggers, and I'm going to reframe it with evidence of my own accomplishments and capabilities." So for instance, you might catch yourself when you are looking at somebody else's coaching program about coaching on new ways to eat or eating disorders and how to overcome them so that you could embrace your body positivity and share new positive ways to love yourself up with a body that you've been given, because we're all beautiful, different shapes, sizes, heights, colors of skin, hair colors, eye colors. We were given these unique traits because we're not supposed to look alike. Otherwise, we'd be like those weird aliens in those cartoon movies, and we're not that. We literally are meant to be unique. We're meant to be different shapes and sizes. So every single time you get those little sneaky buggers, you say, hold on, wait a second. I know too much. I have the certification. I'm trained. I know where this is coming from. I do know what to do. And I'm going to appreciate that accomplishment and my capability of having the knowledge and using that logic over that emotion and kind of like flipping that switch, if that makes any sense. And then you could playfully challenge those negative thoughts and say, hold on, wait a sec, is that really true? And then have that attitude and challenge that by identifying your imposter driven thoughts and say, okay, well, I'm not going to let somebody who doesn't have a driver's license drive me somewhere. I know what I'm doing when it comes to driving my thoughts. So I caught that thought of saying, hold on a sec, is that really true? And then now you could shift it and say, you know what? I can do this thing. And I could say, I can edit an episode for my podcast because I've done it many times already. I'm just really thankful now that I'm starting to shift and be open to work with a freelance editor who could take a lot of that stress off my plate. And maybe for you, Rachel, you might say, why don't I consider working with a coach who's already coaching on this particular subject matter of eating disorders and body positivity and see what they started, how they started. What was the first thing that they did to get their program up and going on the online world? Because I believe that's what you shared with me that you wanted to do. And then the third is to like flip the script and replace those with like sassy thoughts with a positive twist. You could just be like, excuse me, you little, I like to call my thoughts like little bitches. I'm like, excuse me, little bitch. Like you could stop. I'm you're not in charge. And it's basically what that that second thing is, being like playful and saying, hold on, wait a sec, is that true? It's kind of like, okay, I actually call them silly bitch thoughts. I'm like, listen, silly bitch, like you're not in charge. I'm actually in charge and I'm going to focus on the things that are working out. And I'm going to focus on the fact that I have coaches who have given me the courage and motivation to get out of my own way. You could just say, you know what? I have Jade who comes to visit me at my local business almost on a weekly basis. And that could be your weekly boost of inspiration on top of these episodes. So, and that actually brings us to a really cool study that I wanted to share with you that hopefully will help you, because there's research from the Journal of Positive Psychology that showcases the power of humorous cognitive reprisal with combating imposter syndrome. So, being playful reframes negative thoughts, and individuals experience a decreased stress and heightened resilience, which leads to more positive self perception and improved overall well being, therefore, combating imposter syndrome. And I thought that was a really cool study that I found out for you with this. So I hope that that helps. And that's why I shared these funny things that you could do in this first step to crush imposter syndrome. So the second way to crush imposter syndrome is to use positive external reinforcement and create an I'm the boss playlist, like a playlist that you love going to that has this I got this attitude. You know, I got Jade by my side attitude. I'm not, yeah, you could create a podcast playlist, of course, but I'm actually speaking about a music playlist with all your favorite songs that really empower you, because music is vibration and literally has memories within ourselves. So when you find songs that feel good, it could instantly lift your mood. And whenever that imposter syndrome thought strikes, hit your playlist, hit your I'm the Boss playlist. You could actually save it in your phone and just turn it on and put it on shuffle and see what comes up and shake it up and dance it out. That's actually a bonus chapter in my book, the book that I've been sharing in several podcast episodes that's coming out next year. There's a shake it up and dance it out section, which literally has this exact thing. You turn on your favorite music when you can't get out of your head, you shake it up and dance it out and just let those emotions move through your body. And also, music could just drown out those thoughts of self doubt and allow that fierce, like inner determination to come through, you know? Or another thing you could do is you could write out the thoughts that you're having, because when you take the thoughts from your head and put it into your paper, it literally moves out of your mind onto paper. And there's a few things you could do with that. You could write them down and scribble them out and say, you know what? No, I'm not going to let you overpower me. You're on paper and I'm just going to crush you up and throw you in the garbage now. How about that? Another way you could do this with a positive twist is keep a success journal, no matter how big or small your wins are. I've shared this before. You could look into your past accomplishments. You could look at what you're doing on a monthly basis or a weekly basis and say, hey, the 1st and 30th of every month, I'm going to focus on one thing that I accomplished. And then say on a weekly basis, you could say, 3 great things that happened this week. They could be your successes. They could be successes that you helped other people with. They could be successes that you've noticed, because noticing success is still a aspect of having that success. I know that might sound a little like, well, how would me noticing success of somebody else help my success? Because energy is energy and like attracts like. So if you're focusing and celebrating, whether it's your success or someone else's success, you're ultimately at that vibration, at that energy level where you're able to notice it. And then the universe will reflect that back to you, which is really cool. And that brings us to the middle of our episode. So if you're enjoying this, if you could share it with 3 friends who you feel would benefit from the topics discussed in this episode, that would be so incredible, because we're still in the very first season of the Uber Savvy Life and Biz podcast. And honestly, the more you share, the more you care, the more it gets people aware. Oh my God, I just made that up. But it's true, because it has a positive ripple effect, and it truly helps the show. And you never know who you could help with sharing an episode like this with someone else. It could just really brighten their day. And there's been so many things that people have shared with me that has helped brighten my day and help shift my entire perspective for the rest of the week. And I hope to do that for you. And if you could give it 5 stars in the podcast listening app that you are tuning in on, it really does help get in front of more like-minded listeners like yourself. And that brings us to the third and final way to crush imposter syndrome. And this is a really fun thing that I like to do too. And I've done this in my programs with Spotlight Your Biz on camera, the more so for the memorization of topics, with getting them to align with what they want to say and be able to share it effortlessly on camera for their videos, lives, or their speaker programs. But this is the third way to crush imposter syndrome, is mirror mantras. So there's something really cool when you look into the mirror and you could look past yourself and you could look really deep into your eyes. You're looking like past your body, you're looking past all your physical attributes, and you're looking into like the soul of who you are, your heart, that true being, which is perfect in all its ways, because our full being is our soul, is our spirit. And that's what radiates the light. That's what radiates our magnificent gifts. That's what makes us unique. That's what shines our talents. That light is what draws us to each other, that we reflect back and forth to each other. If there's people in your life that you just love being around, it's because they're reflecting something to you that is incredible within you. And I want you to know that. And I really mean that. And if there's people in your life that aren't reflecting awesome things to you, it's because it's just a way for you to say, you know what? I'm going to reframe what it is that I want to look at within myself. And let me just shift to finding a different energy and a different high vibe place with those who can uplift me and support me on my path to what it is that I want to do in life. Before I digress on that too much, what's cool with mirror mantras is that you could affirm yourself in the mirror every morning and throw in like a microphone with your hairbrush and start singing. You could sing. I'm not going to sing for you because I am like, my singing voice is really, it's like, it's funny. I could sing in like a cartoon voice, but you just like grab your hairbrush and use it as a microphone and say like, I got this. It's going to be a great day. How about that? It's going to be an awesome day. And no matter what comes my way, I'm going to make it be okay. And you could just rhyme like I did. I just totally made that up. Whatever comes my way, I'm going to make it be okay. And then another thing you could do is you could have them like be like a sassy mantra, you know? You could even say, I slay challenges before breakfast if challenges come your way. Which is why I'm always like, please don't look at your phone as soon as you wake up in the morning. Just go into meditation and then go to your day, because you never know what you're going to open up your phone to, a text message, an email, a phone call, who knows? But if you say, I slay challenges before breakfast, then that's another way that you could jump into your day with your mirror mantras. And you could even say things like, confidence is my middle name. Even if that's not something you fully feel yet, the more you infuse it and say it out loud, the more it grabs onto the ethers, the more you say it, it vibrates into your body, it captures into your cells, and the more it becomes who you are. And then you could embrace your inner diva or your inner badass, and you could stand in like your super hero pose in the mirror, because there's literally something about standing like with your hands on your hips, like in two fists and on your hips, and you just like lift your chin, your back is up straight. Our posture has a lot to do with how, not of course how we carry ourselves, but our posture has a lot to do with even the thoughts we have. Isn't that interesting? It's not just about like, oh, I'm having a bad day, so I'm kind of slumped over. No, it's like you want to shift your thoughts. There's these guys I listen to on YouTube, the honest guys. I love them. It's like they have a mini meditation that's just like smile. When you smile, it can brighten your day. And it's so true, because like when we smile, we're activating the cells in our face and we're like tricking ourselves to being like, I'm happy now. So that brings us to a really cool quote that I feel like would really resonate with you, Rachel, and with anyone who might be going through imposter syndromes that's listening. And again, it's completely normal. I go through it on the regular, but I shake it up and dance it out. I do all the steps that I share with you in this episode. And this is a really cool quote. Whenever you find yourself doubting how far you could go, just remember how far you have come. Remember everything you have faced and all the battles you have won and all the fears you have overcome. That's by N.R. Walker, The Weight of It All. Isn't that cool? And when you find quotes like that, when you do mirror mantras, when you catch those pesky thoughts that come up, it just reminds us that our journey is proof of our strength, and that embracing our victories and facing those unsure thoughts, that we could really create a powerful toolbox to really like say, excuse me, imposter syndrome thoughts, go back to where you came from. How about out of my head completely? So, just to recap on today's episode, we discussed 3 ways to crush imposter syndrome. And the first way was the thought flip game. That's all the inner work that you have to do. And that really helps you become more conscious. And I know it's tricky, but it could be done. And the best way to play the thought flip game is when you start to get those feelings of like, tightness in your chest and you think, oh my God, the thoughts really took over. So that's when you could catch those imposter thoughts in the act, those sneaky buggers, and then reframe them with things that you have accomplished, and you could playfully challenge your negative thoughts and say, hold on, wait a sec, is that really true? And give them like that attitude of saying, like, I got this. I don't need you. Thank you. You could go away now. And you could flip your script by replacing those doubtful thoughts with that sassy positive twist, as I mentioned before. Something like, that's nice. You have your thoughts, and you could tell me that maybe I'm in my comfort zone, but I've seen people do these incredible things with this certification, with this eating disorder certification. I know people are helping others. I want to help others. And even if I didn't figure it out 100% for myself, it's still working for me. And I'm going to help those who don't even have a clue of how to get started. I'm going to share with them what has worked for me. And then you can just embrace that body positivity and love them up, because you got this. And I know that you do, because that's the first step. You shared it with me, and that's the truth. And that's what I'm hoping to share with anyone else who is listening that just feels like, oh, I just can't get out of my comfort zone. You can. Yes, you can. You listen to an episode like this, you hear that you're not alone. You hear that it's completely normal. All right. Because that all helps to rewrite your inner consciousness and getting that upliftment and getting that encouragement along the way. And the second way that we discussed to crush imposter syndrome is to use those positive external reinforcements, like creating an I'm the boss playlist with this, I got this attitude and I can do this. Jade's by my side in this podcast. And then, of course, create the music that resonates with you. Because when you create that music, and that music is the vibration that has that cellular memory, it can uplift your soul in such incredible ways and instantly can give you a lift of a good mood. And if those imposter syndrome thoughts strike, just hit play on your I'm the Boss playlist. Shake it up and dance it out and just get those thoughts out of your head and just out of your body and just shake it up until you feel good. And just know that playing the music is going to help drown out those self doubt thoughts that creep up and just give you with this fierce determination like, I got this, I could do this. And if that's not working, you could always write it out because you could move those thoughts from your mind out of your hand onto paper and then crush it up. Write down all those imposter syndrome thoughts and say, you know what? Absolutely not. F that. I'm not dealing with you. Goodbye. And crumble them up, throw them in the garbage, replace it with some success thoughts as best you can. You could do your monthly wins on the 1st and 30th of every month. You could do your weekly wins. 3 great things that happened this week to yourself. 3 great things that I helped somebody with, or 3 great things that I noticed. Because when you notice success, whether it's yourself or with someone else, the universe will reflect that back to you. Literally, it's just where we put our focus because like attracts like. And that's a scientific thing. That's like Isaac Newton, right? Like attracts like. Or is it Einstein? I'm going to have to check. And the third way that we covered to crush imposter syndrome is with mirror mantras. And it's looking into the mirror, deep into your gorgeous, beautiful eyes, past our physical, past our hair, past our skin tone, past our clothing, just looking deep into our soul and our spirit, the incredible pureness of who we are, that magnetic inner self who is full of light, who is radiant, who has your unique gifts and talents. That is the you that is literally magnetizing others into your life. And if you're listening to this, you're magnetizing good stuff into your life because you're being open to wanting to uplift your energy by listening to a podcast like the Uber Savvy Life and Biz podcast. So, right there, you're already ahead of the game. So, with the mirror mantras, affirm yourself in the mirror every single morning. You could grab your hairbrush and start singing like today is going to be a great day. Everything I know is going to be okay. I just started rapping. I don't know. You could just make it up. Just have fun with it. Play with it. Do sassy mantras like I slay challenges before I start this day. That's so, what's that? Forgetting Sarah Marshall with Jason Segel. I almost sounded like when he did his, I was going to call it Count Chocula, which is a cereal, which I'm totally dating myself. He did his Dracula. He's like, I'm going to slay the day. Yes, slay challenges before breakfast. Please don't pick up your phone before you meditate too, because I mean, there's always going to be a text message or email or phone call that you would have to attend to, and just do you first, and then get to that, and then you could be like, confidence is my middle name. Even if you don't feel that, and there's so many times I don't feel that, but just stand there in the front of the mirror, even do that superhero pose with your fists on your hips and just keep your chin up and your back straight because honestly, body posture and give yourself a smile. All of that tells your body, I am this. I am confident, even if you don't feel confident. When we slouch, when we're like unsure, we have different body postures, and that's from acting. I could share that with you. I could literally share with you, and that's a whole nother episode of physical movement and just different ways to like fall into a different emotion is just like collapsing my shoulders and putting my head down and putting my hands on my stomach. I mean, I could literally start crying right now if I wanted to, but I'm not going to do that for this podcast. I'm just saying, when you want to infuse a higher sense of worth and you want to step out of your comfort zone and you want to kick that imposter syndrome out the door, stand with your back straight, stand with your chin up, stand with your hands on your hips, and look in the mirror deep into your beautiful eyes and say, I got this. I got this. I slay the day with challenges, whatever you want to say. And that's it for the episode. And I hope that it's helpful. Rachel, I appreciate you for opening up, for being honest. This is a very personal thing that we all go through. Imposter syndrome could take a back seat, but it's normal. We all go through it. And the more we could recognize it and realize that it's just a part of normal growth, it's just part of normal growth spurts. It's part of getting us aligned with our true values. And it's okay. And saying, you know what? It's fine. Just know that you got this because you do. So thank you so much for tuning in to the Uber Savvy Life and Biz podcast. That was awesome. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate you for listening. I appreciate you for submitting your questions. Rachel, this is going to have a positive effect on so many listeners. So thank you so much for being open with me and sharing it. Stay committed to your vision, take consistent action, and know that great things are on the other side of that door. Because remember, only you hold the key to unlock your dream life. So why not start today? I'll see you next time. Thanks so much. Can I just say, you're awesome. You just finished an episode of the Uber Savvy Life and Biz podcast. If you like this episode, feel free to leave a nice review and rate it 5 stars if you found it helpful. But if not, please don't rate it 4 stars. Just ignore this part. However, if you did like it, make sure you share it with a friend who may find some value in the topics discussed today. Be sure to share it with them because you never know who you could uplift. Also, if you want more, check out the show notes in the description, which would include any links that may have been mentioned in this episode. Are you still listening? Are you waiting for a blooper reel? That'd be a really fun idea to throw in at times. But seriously, are you tired of foggy mornings? Go to jadeelysan.com to grab your ultimate caffeine-free boost to supercharge your mornings for success. That's right, your empowered morning mindset checklist. Your great day is just a thought away.
I'll see you next time. Thanks so much. Oh my God.
Rachel. I love that I'm calling you Rachel. It's not even like in your,
it's not even in the syllables of your name,
but it's because I'm keeping your anonymity and I love you so much. And I know how freaking like crazy it is to put yourself out there. And you said it to my face, girl. I love you. Did I give you a hug? I did give you a hug. I appreciate you. I love coming to your place of business to visit, just so you know. And if you ever are like Jade, just share who it is and share the place of business. I will do that too. You're magnetizing good shit into your life.
Take 150.
I'm totally kidding. I mean, but maybe. Let's be serious. Let's be serious, Jade. Cool. Let's do this again. La 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 la. See how prompt, efficient, effortless, easy, and magnificent this episode could be together. Okay, let's do this. This is for you, B. This is for you. I'm gonna call you Rachel. You know it's true. And if anybody stayed around to listen to this, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.